Someone once told me the most dangerous part of a traffic stop isn't the ticket. It's the conversation you don't even realize you're having. Think about that for a second. Have you ever been asked, "Where are you coming from?" during a traffic stop, and answered without even thinking twice? Tell me honestly in the comments. What did you say? Drop your answer below, because what you said in that moment might matter more than you think. And by the end of this, you'll understand why that simple question isn't as innocent as it sounds. Let's get into it. There's a strange moment that happens during almost every traffic stop. The officer walks up, maybe calm, maybe neutral, maybe even polite, and then comes that question. Where are you coming from? It sounds casual, almost like small talk, like they're just trying to break the silence. But here's the reality most drivers don't understand. That question is not about curiosity. It's about building a timeline. From the officer's perspective, they're not just talking to you. They're quietly testing your consistency, your behavior, your reaction time, and even your tone. Because every answer you give becomes a piece of a puzzle they're putting together in real time. Let me explain how this works. Imagine you say, "I'm coming from a friend's house." Simple, harmless, honest maybe. But now the officer has something to work with. How far is that friend's house? Does your direction of travel make sense? Does your driving behavior match someone casually leaving a visit? Or someone trying to get somewhere quickly? Now, imagine you say, "I'm coming from work." Okay. What time did your shift end? Why are you on this road? Does your appearance match that story? You see what's happening? Every answer opens a door. And once that door is open, the officer can step through it. Now here's where people make a mistake that can cost them more than just a ticket. They start adding details, extra words, extra explanations, extra stories that nobody asked for. I was at my friend's house, we were just hanging out, watched a game, had a couple drinks, but nothing crazy. Then I left about 20 minutes ago. Stop right there. You might think you're being cooperative. You might even think you're helping yourself. But what you've actually done is given the officer multiple threads to pull on. You've mentioned alcohol. You've created a timeline. You've introduced uncertainty. And now, what started as a simple traffic stop has the potential to turn into something much bigger. This is why experienced attorneys always say something that most people misunderstand. It's not about lying. It's not about being rude. It's about controlling the conversation. Because once you lose control of that conversation, you lose control of the situation. Let me show you something most drivers never notice. When an officer asks you where you're coming from, they're not just listening to your words. They're watching your eyes. They're watching your hands. They're noticing how quickly you respond. Did you hesitate? Did you look away? Did your voice change slightly? These are small signals, but in law enforcement, small signals matter. And here's the part that might surprise you. Even a completely honest answer can still work against you. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your answer might not match what the officer expects. And that mismatch creates suspicion. Not proof, not guilt, just suspicion. But suspicion is enough to extend a traffic stop. It's enough to ask more questions. It's enough to shift the entire tone of the encounter. Now you might be thinking, so what am I supposed to do? Just stay silent? Not exactly. But you need to understand your rights in a very practical way. You are required to provide identification. That's non-negotiable. But casual questions? That's different. There's a line between required information and voluntary conversation. And most people don't know where that line is, so they talk and talk and talk until they've said something they can't take back. Let me give you a real-world style scenario. Two drivers get pulled over on the same road, same time, same reason. Driver number one answers every question, explains everything, tries to be friendly, cooperative, helpful. Driver number two keeps it simple, provides documents, stays respectful, doesn't offer unnecessary details. Guess which one is more likely to have their stop extended? It's not about attitude, it's about exposure. The more you say, the more there is to analyze. And officers are trained to analyze. That's their job. Now, let's talk about something most people completely miss. Tone. You could say the exact same sentence two different ways and create two completely different outcomes. A defensive tone raises tension. An overly nervous tone raises suspicion. An overly casual tone can seem dismissive. So what works? Calm, neutral, controlled. Not robotic, not aggressive, just steady. Because the goal is not to win an argument. The goal is to avoid creating one in the first place. And here's something I want you to really think about. A traffic stop is not the place to prove your innocence. It's the place to avoid making your situation worse. There's a big difference. Most legal problems during traffic stops don't come from what people did. They come from what people said after the stop began. That's the part nobody talks about enough. Because it's not dramatic, it's not obvious, but it's incredibly important. And this is where that simple question, "Where are you coming from?" becomes more than just a question. It becomes a test, not of guilt, but of awareness. Do you understand what's happening? Or are you just going with the flow, answering whatever comes your way without thinking? Because once you understand the game, everything changes. You stop reacting, you start thinking, you stop oversharing. You start controlling your responses, and suddenly, what could have turned into a complicated situation stays exactly what it was supposed to be, a simple traffic stop. So next time you're in that seat, window down, officer standing there, and that question comes your way, pause for just a second. Not out of fear, out of awareness. Because sometimes the smartest move isn't what you say. It's how much you choose not to say. And once you understand that, you'll never handle a traffic stop the same way again.